Hydrosphere unit test. Number 1. The Ohio, Missouri, and Arkansas rivers flow into the Mississippi River. Which term best describes the Ohio, Missouri, and Arkansas rivers? A. Watersheds, B. Divides, C. Tributaries, or D. Deltas. Number 2. How would a large increase in the salinity of an estuary most likely affect the ecosystem of the estuary? A. All the organisms would die. B. All the organisms would continue to live as they do now. C. The number of salt-intolerant organisms would decrease. D. The number of salt-tolerant organisms would increase, and the number of salt-intolerant organisms would decrease. Number 3. How can upwelling improve fishing for ocean fishermen? A. They cause the ocean water to get warmer. B. They cause ocean currents to remain calm. C. They bring nutrients from the cold, deep ocean waters. Or D. They bring ocean currents from the equator. Number 4. Which action shows concern for the environment with regards to the resources of the oceans? A. Developing technology which will allow for an increase in fish harvesting. B. Allowing factories to release untreated wastewater into the oceans. C. Filling in oceanfront wetlands in order to extend beachfront properties. Or D. Setting limits on fish harvesting in the oceans. Number 5. Why do biologists use indicator species? To compare freshwater and ocean ecosystems, to count the number of organisms present, to monitor water quality and biodiversity, to analyze the dominant species. Number 6. Which technology has allowed scientists to accurately map the ocean floor? A. Sonar, B. Scuba, C. Satellites, D. Submersibles. Number 7. Which best explains what happens to nutrients in the ocean as a result of upwelling? A. Upwelling carries nutrients to coral reefs. B. Upwelling carries nutrients to the bottom of the ocean. C. Upwelling carries nutrients to the intertidal zone. Or D. Upwelling carries nutrients to the surface of the ocean. Number 8. What causes water to have its unique properties? For instance, cohesion, adhesion, solubility, etc. Polarity, density, specific heat, or capillary action. Number 9. After analyzing data collected from a pond, there is a significant decrease in dissolved oxygen. Which most likely caused the decline? A. An increase in minerals. B. An increase in sediment. C. An increase in algal growth. Or D. An increase in fish population. Number 10. How will high turbidity most likely affect a watershed? A. Water temperatures and dissolved oxygen levels will decrease. B. Water temperatures and dissolved oxygen levels will increase. C. Water temperatures will increase and dissolved oxygen levels will decrease. Or D. Water temperatures will decrease and dissolved oxygen levels will increase. Number 11. Which best explains why public beaches and recreational waterways are monitored carefully by local health departments? A. To protect future industrial expansion. B. To protect citizens from potential disease. C. To maintain tourism and economic stability. Or D. To maintain safety records. Number 12. In which way could humans best prevent a non-point source of water pollution in North Carolina? A. Reduce the application of fertilizer in fields. B. Regulate waste discharge from an industrial factory. C. Monitor the average high temperature in the area. D, maintain ships to prevent the likelihood of oil spills. Number 13, which of the following contains most of the water on Earth? The oceans, B, watersheds, C, the atmosphere, or D, ice and aquifers. Number 14, which two statements are true about the changing salt concentrations of ocean water? Check the two that apply. When the Earth's ice increases, ocean water gets saltier. When the Earth's ice increases, ocean water gets less salty. When the ocean water evaporates, the water gets saltier. When the ocean water evaporates, the water gets less salty. Number 15. Which best explains why estuaries are an important habitat for many marine organisms in comparison to the open ocean? A, there's less food in estuaries. B, there are more predators in estuaries. C, there's more salt available in estuaries. Or D, there are more nutrients available in estuaries. Number 16, which factors limit the productivity of a marine ecosystem? A, availability of light and nutrients. B, availability of nutrients in fresh water. C, availability of light and chemosynthetic organisms. D, the availability of photosynthetic organisms and fresh water. 17, which organism is at the base of a marine food web? A, a crab. B, phytoplankton. C, whale. D, zooplankton. Number 18, which of the following is not a reason it is challenging to live in the intertidal zone? Organisms must be able to survive both submerged underwater and exposed to air. Organisms must be able to withstand huge changes in salinity. Organisms must be able to survive changes in temperature. Organisms must be able to live in complete darkness. 19. If a pond is located in an area with significant amounts of air pollution, which health measure would be most directly affected? A, pH. B, nitrates. C, turbidity. Or D, dissolved oxygen. Number 20. Which substance will most likely cause a decrease in pH if it is leaked into a North Carolina waterway by a local industry? A, soap. B, bleach. C, drain cleaner. Or D, hydrochloric acid. 21. Which factors can have the greatest effect on the health of a river system? A, type of soil and salinity. B, nitrate levels and turbidity. C, human consumption and pH. Or D, natural disasters and tidal changes. 23. Which causes cold ocean water to rise during an upwelling event? A, motion of organisms. B, deep ocean currents. C, mass of nutrients. Or D, surface winds. 24. Blank describes how water moves against gravity and can travel up a plant's root into its stem and leaves. Adhesion, cohesion, capillary action, or universal solvent. 25. True or false? Water is made up of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen to form a molecule. True, false. 26. The lack of variety of bioindicators in a water system would mean that A, there is a high level of pollution in the water. B, there is a low level of pollution in the water. C, this is a potable water system. Or D, the pH is neutral. Number 27. E. coli bacteria and fertilizers in farm runoff A, point source pollution, or B, non-point source pollution. 28. Litter and trash are washed into storm drains and end up in a river. 28. Point source or non-point source pollution. 29. A septic tank leaking and contaminating groundwater. Point source or non-point source pollution. 30. Downwelling provides blank for the fish at the bottom of the ocean. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, or food. Extra credit. What is the most important benefit of vegetative buffers? A, filters water and prevents erosion. B, the plants give extra food for animals to eat. C, it gives a good hiding place for animals around the river. And D, the plants grow down into the water and provide carbon dioxide for aquatic animals. This is the end of the test. Good luck.